Turns out, divergent AI pathways in higher education. Your kid's getting smarter by letting the AI do the thinking. That's what everyone assumed would happen. Turns out, motivation matters way more than the tool. And when students try to use AI as a collaborative partner instead of a shortcut, something weird happens. It stops working. So here's the question. Are we teaching the next generation to work with AI, or are we just teaching them how to get lazy? Before generative AI exploded into every classroom, universities had a problem they couldn't quite solve. Some students were self-directed learners who could motivate themselves to master hard material. Others needed external structure, deadlines, teachers watching over them. Nobody had a good tool that could bridge that gap consistently. Then ChatGPT happened, and everyone thought this was it, the universal tutor that would motivate everyone equally and level the playing field. The assumption was straightforward. Smarter AI means better learning. But what if the relationship between AI and learning outcomes is way more complicated than that? A team of researchers based in China decided to actually measure this. Cheng from Shandong Huayu University of Technology, Shui Liu from Shijiazhuang University, and Hui Liu from Jilin Normal University spent months designing a study to test how motivation, AI use, and learning outcomes actually connect. They were asking something nobody had really quantified before. Does it matter how you use AI, or does it just matter that you use it? Here's what they did. 760 Chinese university students were their test group. These weren't random volunteers. They were actual students using generative AI in real classes across multiple institutions. The researchers collected data on 3 things simultaneously: how motivated each student was, how they were actually using AI, and whether they could actually apply what they learned. The clever part was, they didn't just ask, "Do you like learning?" They measured motivation in a specific way, tracking whether students set their own goals and regulated their own effort. Then they tracked 2 different ways students used AI. Some students used it as an autonomous tool, basically offloading the thinking to the machine. Others tried to use it as a collaborative partner, what the researchers called human-machine synergy. Then they measured knowledge application ability. Not just did you memorize something, but could you actually use it in new situations? Think of it like asking whether a student could pass a test versus whether they could solve a real problem they'd never seen before. The results are where it gets weird. First, motivation directly predicted better learning outcomes. Students who were intrinsically driven to learn learned better. That's not shocking. It matches 40 years of educational psychology. But here's where it gets interesting. The researchers found 2 different pathways from motivation to better learning. In one pathway, students used AI as an autonomous tool, letting it generate answers, summaries, explanations, without them doing much cognitive work themselves. This pathway showed a small but statistically significant effect. More motivation led to using AI more strategically, which led to slightly better learning outcomes. But the other pathway, human-machine synergy, showed almost nothing. Students who tried to collaborate deeply with AI, who were thinking alongside the algorithm, who were treating it like an intellectual partner, those students didn't see better knowledge application than students who just used it as a tool. In fact, the effect was so small it basically disappeared. It wasn't a negative effect, but it wasn't positive either. It was just nothing. Think about how strange that sounds. We've been told that the future is about collaboration with AI, about working in tandem with algorithms. This study suggests that for university students right now, that collaborative approach isn't actually producing measurable learning advantages. So what does this mean in actual life? If your kid is using ChatGPT to explain a concept, then independently trying to apply it to a new problem, that works. The AI is doing some cognitive work, your kid is still thinking, and the combination produces learning. But if your kid is trying to workshop ideas with the AI, asking it to refine their thinking, having this back-and-forth dialogue, the study suggests that doesn't automatically make them smarter at applying knowledge. The researchers have a hypothesis for why: cognitive offloading. When humans and machines work together too closely, people start trusting the machine to do the heavy lifting. Your brain checks out a little. You're not struggling with the problem anymore because the algorithm is managing the struggle for you. The other issue is what they call algorithmic literacy. Most students don't actually understand how these systems work, so they can't meaningfully collaborate with them. You can't truly synergize with a tool you don't understand. That said, this is one study on 760 students in China. The effect sizes are small, which means we're not talking about huge differences in learning outcomes. And the study only measured knowledge application, not creativity or deep understanding or other things AI might influence. This sits in a surprisingly crowded middle ground in the broader AI education conversation. One side says AI is going to destroy education because students will just outsource all thinking. The other says AI is going to revolutionize education by enabling personalized learning at scale. This research suggests reality is more nuanced and less deterministic. It's not about the tool. It's about how you use it, and specific types of use produce specific outcomes. Surprisingly, the least flashy use case, AI as a straightforward learning support tool, is the one that's actually working. Not the futuristic vision of human-AI collaboration. Just straightforward tool use. That raises a much bigger question that nobody has answered. What will happen in 5 years when students grow up with algorithmic literacy from the start? When they understand how these systems work, will human-machine synergy suddenly become effective? Or is there something fundamentally limiting about trying to collaborate with a system that doesn't actually think? Here's what matters most. A motivated student using AI as a learning support tool gets measurable better outcomes. A motivated student trying to partner with AI for deeper thinking doesn't get those same measurable outcomes, at least not yet. The implication is uncomfortable. The future of AI in education might not be about fancy collaboration. It might just be about smarter tools used in straightforward ways by people who understand how to learn. And that means everyone's been hyping the wrong thing. Turns out scientists have been busy, and they're not done yet.